My fiancée tried to change the prenup behind my back, so I let her believe it was approved, then canceled everything 2 weeks before the wedding. Hello everyone, welcome to Reddit Visuals. You know, I used to think betrayal was obvious, that you'd see it coming, that it would scream in your face. But the worst kind? It whispers. It signs papers in the dark. It smiles while holding a knife behind its back. I'm a 38-year-old guy working in financial risk assessment. I've been married to my amazing wife Sarah for 3 years now, and looking back, I realize how close I came to marrying the wrong person entirely. This story is about Hannah, my ex-fiancée, and the lesson that saved my life. I'm not flashy. I don't care for watches that cost more than cars or Instagram vacations. But I do care about security, emotional and financial. Maybe it's because I've watched too many of my colleagues lose everything in ugly divorces. Maybe it's because my own parents' marriage exploded over money when I was 12. Either way, I learned early on. Love is love, but smart planning protects everyone. So when I met Hannah 4 years ago, I was cautious, but curious. She was 34, magnetic, worked in interior design, and had a laugh that made people turn around in restaurants. Our first date was over sushi. She asked questions no one had ever asked me before, like what scared me most, what I'd regret not doing. I remember thinking, maybe this is someone who actually sees me. 6 months later, we moved in together. A year after that, I proposed with my grandmother's ring. I was in deep, so deep that I didn't see the little cracks forming under the surface. But looking back, man, the signs were there from the beginning. The first red flag should have been how she reacted to learning about my financial situation. When she found out I owned my condo outright and had substantial savings, her whole demeanor changed. She started mentioning expensive things she needed: a new car, designer furniture, exotic vacation destinations. When I didn't immediately offer to pay for everything, she'd get these little passive-aggressive digs in. "Must be nice to have options," she'd say with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. But I rationalized it. She's just being practical, I thought. She wants security too. The second red flag was how she talked about her friends' relationships. She'd constantly compare their situations to ours. Jessica's boyfriend bought her a BMW for her birthday. Amy's fiancé is paying for her entire wedding. Claire's husband added her name to all his accounts the day they got engaged. I should have seen it then. But love makes you stupid sometimes. We were having wine on the balcony one night, about 6 months before our planned wedding, when I brought it up. "Hey, I'd like us to have a prenup. Just something clean and fair. Protects both of us." She froze, her wine glass halfway to her lips. "Do you think I'm going to take your money?" she asked, half joking but with an edge I'd never heard before. I laughed gently and said, "No, I think we're going to have a beautiful life. But if things ever go sideways, which they won't, I want us to part with dignity, not court battles." After a long pause, she said, "Okay, that's fair, I guess." But I noticed she couldn't look me in the eye when she said it. We met with my lawyer, a straightforward guy named Dennis who'd helped several of my colleagues. He walked us through the basics. The terms weren't harsh, just logical. Keep what you came with, split fairly what you build together, and some standard clauses around property and investments. My condo, which I'd bought 5 years before meeting Hannah, would remain mine. My savings and investment accounts from before our relationship would be protected. Anything we accumulated during marriage, joint accounts, shared investments, even appreciation on the condo if we both contributed to improvements, would be split equitably. Hannah sat through the whole meeting nodding and asking what seemed like reasonable questions. She even made a joke about Dennis's coffee being stronger than ours. When Dennis asked if she wanted her own lawyer to review it, she said, "No, this all seems fair. I trust you both." She signed the initial draft that day. I remember feeling relieved. We went to dinner afterward and she seemed normal, happy even. That was my first mistake, thinking it was over. 3 weeks later, I got a call from Dennis that changed everything. "Hey, just wanted to confirm you're okay with the revisions Hannah submitted," he said casually. My blood went cold. "What revisions?" Silence on the other end. Then, "She didn't discuss them with you?" "Dennis, what revisions?" He cleared his throat uncomfortably. She came in yesterday with some changes. Said you both had talked it over and decided to modify a few clauses. She had a notarized letter saying she was acting on both your behalf for preliminary changes, a forged authorization letter. My own fiancée had essentially committed fraud. What did she change? The changes were stunning. My condo, the one I'd bought with my own money 5 years before I met her, was now listed as marital property to be split 50-50. My individual investment accounts were reclassified as premarital assets to be shared proportionally. Even my emergency fund, which I'd built over a decade, was now considered joint savings. But the real kicker? She'd added a clause about lifestyle maintenance. Basically, if we divorced, I'd have to pay her monthly support to maintain the standard of living she'd grown accustomed to during our marriage. Dennis, I said slowly, I didn't authorize any of this. Oh, a long pause. Oh, this is a problem. Yes, it was. I didn't confront Hannah immediately. I needed time to think, to process what this meant. Instead, I started watching her more carefully. That night at dinner, she was unusually chatty about wedding plans. I was thinking we could upgrade the flowers, she said. Maybe add some ambient lighting to the reception. It's only a few thousand more. Only a few thousand more. Of my money. While she was secretly trying to ensure she'd get half of everything I'd worked for. Over the next week, I noticed other things. How she'd casually bring up expensive honeymoon destinations. How she'd mention seeing the perfect house in an upscale neighborhood we'd never discussed. How she'd started referring to my condo as our place and my car as our car. She was already living like she owned half of everything. 2 weeks after Dennis's call, I made my decision. I was going to give Hannah exactly what she wanted, the appearance that her changes had been approved, right up until the moment I pulled the rug out. I called Dennis and told him to prepare 2 sets of documents, the original prenup we'd agreed on, and a fake, approved revision that incorporated Hannah's changes. I asked him to schedule a final signing appointment for 2 weeks before the wedding. Are you sure about this approach? Dennis asked. It's unconventional. She committed fraud, Dennis. She forged my authorization and tried to steal half my life. I'm just making sure she understands the consequences. Then I started making quiet preparations. I didn't cancel the wedding outright. That would tip her off. Instead, I started building an exit strategy. I opened a new bank account and gradually moved my liquid assets there. I changed the beneficiaries on my retirement accounts and life insurance. I even had a moving company on standby to pack my things. Most importantly, I started documenting everything. Every conversation about money, every assumption she made about our future finances, every time she spent my money without asking. I kept screenshots of her Pinterest boards showing million-dollar houses and 5-star resorts labeled future home goals and our honeymoon ideas. The woman I'd fallen in love with was either an incredible actress or had been replaced by someone whose primary interest was my net worth. Hannah, meanwhile, was getting more confident. She'd started making unilateral decisions about expensive wedding upgrades, assuming I'd pay. She'd booked us a $15,000 honeymoon suite in Bora Bora without discussing it. She'd even put a deposit on a BMW, saying she needed reliable transportation as a married woman. The night before our prenup signing, she was practically giddy. I'm so excited to finally make this official, she said, curled up next to me on the couch. Tomorrow we sign, and then in 2 weeks we're husband and wife. I smiled and kissed her forehead. I can't wait. It wasn't entirely a lie. I couldn't wait for this charade to be over. The next morning we met at Dennis's office. Hannah had dressed up for the occasion, a white blazer and pearls, like she was signing a peace treaty. Dennis laid out the documents. 2 sets, just as we'd planned. He handed Hannah the fake revision first. Her eyes lit up as she scanned the pages. Every single change she'd made was there. She was practically glowing. This looks perfect, she said, signing with a flourish. Then Dennis handed me the real document, the original prenup we'd actually agreed on months ago. I took my time reading it, even though I knew every word. Hannah watched me, that confident smile never leaving her face. Finally, I signed. Congratulations, Dennis said. You're all set. As we walked to our cars, Hannah was practically bouncing. God, I feel so relieved, she said. Now we can focus on the fun stuff. Speaking of which, I found the most amazing wedding day jewelry. It's only $3,000, and since we're about to be legally bound anyway. Send me the link, I said. I'll take a look. She kissed me and drove off, probably already planning her next purchase. I went home and finalized my exit strategy. That weekend, Hannah was in full bride mode. She'd invited her mother and sisters over to discuss last-minute wedding details. I could hear them in the living room, talking about flowers and seating charts and which of Hannah's friends might catch the bouquet. At one point, her sister asked, "Are you nervous about anything?" Hannah laughed. "Not anymore. We got the legal stuff sorted out yesterday. I feel like we're really building something together now." Building something together. Right. She thought she'd just secured half of everything I'd built alone. Sunday night, I made the call. I phoned every vendor, every venue, and everyone involved in our wedding. I didn't cancel. Not yet. I just asked about their cancellation policies and what notice they required. Most were surprisingly understanding when I explained there might be unforeseen circumstances. Monday morning, exactly 2 weeks before our wedding, I put my plan into motion. I scheduled a meeting with Dennis for that afternoon. Then I called Hannah. "Hey, can you meet me at Dennis's office at 3? He needs us to sign some final paperwork." "More paperwork?" she asked. "I thought we were done." "Just some technical stuff. Insurance requirements for the venue." She agreed, of course. Why wouldn't she? She thought she'd won. At 3 p.m., we sat in Dennis's office again. This time, though, the atmosphere was different. "I've asked you both here," Dennis said, "because there's been a significant issue with the prenup process." Hannah's smile faltered slightly. "What kind of issue?" Dennis looked directly at her. "Hannah, 3 weeks ago, you submitted unauthorized changes to the prenup and provided a forged document claiming you were acting on both your behalf. That's fraud." The color drained from her face. "The changes you made," I said calmly, "tried to give you ownership of assets I acquired years before I met you. My condo, my savings, even future support payments if we divorced." She looked between Dennis and me like a trapped animal. "I was just trying to protect myself. Marriage is a partnership." "Partnership doesn't start with lies," I said, "and it doesn't involve forging legal documents." Dennis pulled out the original prenup, the real one. "This is what was actually agreed upon and signed. The document you thought you signed yesterday was a fake, created to see if you'd go through with the deception." Hannah stared at the papers. "You tricked me." "You tried to steal from me," I replied. "I just showed you the consequences." She started crying then, not the gentle tears of remorse, but angry, frustrated sobs of someone whose plan had fallen apart. "This is insane," she said. "You're destroying our relationship over a stupid contract." "No," I said, standing up. "You destroyed our relationship when you decided my assets were more important than my trust." I walked out of Dennis's office and drove straight home. By the time Hannah got there an hour later, I'd already moved my essential belongings to my friend's place. She was waiting in the driveway, mascara streaked down her cheeks. "We can fix this," she said desperately. "I was wrong about the prenup thing, but we love each other. We can work through this." I stopped at the front door and turned to face her. "Hannah, answer me honestly. If I were a construction worker making $40,000 a year instead of a financial advisor, would you still want to marry me?" She opened her mouth to answer, then closed it. That silence told me everything I needed to know. "I'll have my things moved out by tomorrow," I said. "Keep the ring. Consider it payment for the lesson you taught me." The next morning, I sent a single email to everyone invited to our wedding. "Due to irreconcilable differences, Hannah and I have decided to call off our engagement. The wedding scheduled for date is canceled. We apologize for any inconvenience and appreciate your understanding during this difficult time." I didn't explain. I didn't assign blame. I just stated facts. The fallout was immediate and intense. My phone blew up with calls and texts. Hannah's friends accused me of being cruel and heartless. Some of my own friends thought I was overreacting. But here's what they didn't understand. It wasn't about the money. It was about the lie, the calculation, the months of planning how to take half of everything I'd worked for while pretending to love me. Hannah tried everything to get me back. Angry voicemails about how I'd ruined her life. Tearful apologies claiming she'd made a mistake. Even having her mother call to explain that Hannah was just scared about financial security. I blocked them all. 3 months later, I heard through mutual friends that Hannah had started dating someone new, a real estate developer she'd met at a networking event. Apparently, she'd moved in with him after 2 months. Some patterns never change. 6 months after that, I met Sarah at a friend's barbecue. She was a nurse, funny and kind, with zero interest in my financial situation. On our 3rd date, when she found out what I did for work, she joked, "Well, at least you'll never have to worry about me gold digging. I make my own money and prefer it that way." We've been married 3 years now. Sarah not only signed our prenup without complaint, she suggested we each get separate lawyers to make sure it was fair to both of us. She wanted to protect her own assets too. That's what partnership actually looks like. Looking back, I realize Hannah did me a favor. She showed me that love without integrity is just expensive theater, that someone who truly cares about you doesn't scheme behind your back or try to forge legal documents. The Hannah situation taught me that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away from someone who sees you as a retirement plan instead of a partner. Sarah and I have built something real together, based on honesty, mutual respect, and genuine affection. Not because we have to, but because we want to. And that makes all the difference. So, was I wrong to cancel the wedding the way I did? Should I have confronted Hannah directly instead of setting up the elaborate reveal? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy stories about dodging bullets and finding real love, hit that like button and subscribe to Reddit Visuals. We're building a community here where honesty matters and red flags are warnings, not decorations. Thanks for watching.